reading old music theory books, so you don't have to. In today's episode, folk dances for all, community dances from 15 countries, background notes, piano scores, and full directions. Copyright 1947. People of every walk of life, young and old, rich and poor, every religion, every nationality, are welcomed and represented at the community folk dance. A gesture of inclusion, the mantle of the melting pot America has always claimed, yet folk dance in American culture has always struggled with authenticity. At its core, the concept of folk dance is meant to be communal, something to be shared in and not gawked at. Yet Western and specifically American culture has had a tendency to emphasize exhibition over participation. Folk dances tend to be simple, with repetitious movements and steps that are easy to catch onto. The temptation to dress up dance and seek out complexity encourages spectation and discourages everyday people from joining in. To quote the author, Michael Herman, quoting the New York Times dance critic John Martin, "As soon as the dancer ceases to dance for his own pleasure and begins to consider what the spectator thinks of his performance, he departs from the original spirit of the thing he's doing and changes its essential character." A powerful, poignant statement, if only it wasn't immediately followed by this unfortunate comment. Quote, "If you still have any doubts about your ability to go folk dancing, take a look at page 30, where you will see a photograph of a rotund, famed ballad singer, Burl Ives. Weight, 300 pounds, who can and does go folk dancing for 3 hours at a stretch without any qualms. What's to keep you from it?" My apologies on behalf of this channel to the legacy of famed ballad singer Burl Ives.
So I breathe a bit heavy when I climb a hill. Well, what of it? My life is really much more fulfilled. But they're tearing down buildings that I watch them build. Time.
They did you dirty, my friend. Fat shaming of famed ballad singers aside, folk dances for all is an attempt to remedy what author Michael Herman identified as a unique temptation of American exhibitionism in folk dance. Following this philosophy of inclusion and communal participation, the rest of the book reads like a program, an instructional guide traversing easy-to-follow traditional dances from countries far and wide. We are introduced to the Bulgarian Tropanka, a lively dance felt in 2/4, designed to shake out the nerves of newcomers. Once we break down the atmosphere of shyness in the room, the book suggests we get jiggy in a fast 4/8 with the Russian Troika. Before partnering off for a traditional Jewish wedding dance, the patch Tanz. The rhythm section for this one begs some audience participation, notating claps and stomps to be performed by the dancers in the B section of this tune. As a sort of unintentional counterexample to the thesis of this book, the Mexican waltz is introduced in the following chapter. Smack dab on page 16, we come to find that this waltz is actually an American invention, past popular in the southwestern region of the United States. There are a few other references here to American folk dance, but it should be noted that many others exist beyond the yellowed pages of this 1940s handbook. More complex steps are introduced in dances like the Bavarian Landler, and the Swedish Varsovienne. And we start to see in the notation of step and music the subtle nuance in how a dancer might feel a rhythm as compared to a musician. Many cultures, after all, see little separation between the practice of both dance and music. They are often inseparable, which shouldn't be lost on the composer of what will be today's folk dance music. We see a lot of waltzes throughout this book, and as we jump from culture to culture, we are left with the distinct impression that a waltz is much more than just 3/4 time. Approaching the form while being informed about historical and cultural practice will likely make engaging in that practice a much richer experience for both the composer and the listener, and of course, the dancer. There are quite a few more questionable comments sprinkled through this instruction, like the not-so-subtle suggestion that women should protect the egos of men by not attempting certain dance moves, as they will, quote, undoubtedly lose all respect in her community. Yikes. But the rest of the book does a fairly good job of introducing a wide range of folk dance, from the Ukrainian Ohorodnik to the Estonian Eide Ratas. Dances like the Sicilian Tarantella, a 6/8 do-si-do, are intended to be more improvisatory. With simpler steps, the dancers are directed to snap accompanying rhythms or bring out tambourines to be used in step. This dance is meant to be overtly flirtatious, with the suggestion that if things are going well, one might steal a kiss from their partner at the end of the final measure. And then, at the end of this chapter, we are graced with this very random but glorious graphic, which then an identical graphic starts to appear in rapid frequency throughout the rest of the book. I don't know what was going on here. It must have been an inside joke. I thought originally that they're just tacking this on to like the Italian dances or the vaguely Latin dances, but no, it's everywhere. It's on the Swiss dances, it's on the Russian dances, it's on the Ukrainian dances, it's on the Scotch dances. I don't know how the illustrator slipped this past, but props to him. Work smarter, not harder. One of my favorites is the Italian Danza. Originally a court dance done by the nobility of northern Italy. This danza is said to have come from peasants who watched the nobles through the castle gates and started imitating them, creating their own version. By including this dance, Herman writes that he hopes to convey an important aspect of Italian character, their love of mimicry. The courtly poses are evident throughout the dance, with stately attitudes and curtsies, all exaggerated as if to make fun of the nobility. It's noted that the music should also reflect this satirical attitude and be performed with an almost caricatured grandeur. The dance notes call for the men to whistle back this ladder step melody, which I, as a trained musician, would struggle to no end to whistle this with any degree of accuracy while attempting a hooked hop step. But you know what? Maybe that's the point. I think I often write music with little regard to how others will digest it. When it comes to my own music, I have always put myself dead center of creation and ask myself first and foremost, do I like what I'm making? And historically, if the answer was yes, I would say, okay, cool, that's good enough for me. Is that selfish? Maybe, but as jazz legend Wynton Marsalis puts it,
music is always for the listener, but the first listener is the player.
Now, I also don't write dance music, or at least I don't intend on people necessarily dancing to my stuff, but I'm curious, if I focused my energies more towards that pursuit, would my relationship with the creative process start to change? what kind of music would be left standing? And how would others then come to know and connect with that music? At the end of the day, there isn't a right or wrong way to go about making music. I am the listener, but I'm also the player. And today, I get to be the dancer. Studying the movement of dance gives us a unique opportunity to understand the music that we may one day make from a wildly different perspective. And I think that's incredibly valuable. If you'd like to support my work, please consider becoming a valued patron over on Patreon. Link will be in the pinned comment and the description below. I'm gonna go write some dance music.
I could be the one to change my life. I could heal the light inside my own soul, the light to fill these empty holes. What we leave behind isn't quite as important as the contents of our lives. Do you